are right on top of it. Is he going to suck that? No. Unbelievable. They seem almost disinterested. Look at that shot with all those carp round that bait. That's astonishing. Is he, Rob, going to get this one now? He's got a chance. He's got a chance.
Tips going. Little indication.
And they're disturbed. They're disturbed out of the peg. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable.
Seems ages ago, doesn't it, Lee? That is
a lifetime ago, that one, isn't it?
It's a clip from our very first underwater video. And I've just been going through some clips because I'm at the Big One show this weekend, and I'm going to sit down with Nick Speed. We're going to do a bit of a talk on the stage. And because obviously Nick's massively into method feeder fishing.
One of the best.
Chat about it, and he wants to talk about sort of like our underwater filming that we've done, method feeder fishing, how the pellets break down, how the fish react to method feeders. And like I say, if you're at the Big One show this weekend, come over on Saturday morning, put a few clips together. We're going to talk about it. We're going to get some clips on the big screen. Nick and myself, we're going to have a bit of a chat about what's going on. And
take him an edge hat, Rob, for him to wear. He'd love it.
Get an edge hat on him, couldn't I?
He'd love it. Yeah. You and him have got a similar hairstyle, so that'll
be easy to manage. That's what I'm saying. Hairstyles are. Bit of polish every now and again. We would love some interaction from you folks over the course of this lunchtime live. We've got a couple of questions that we need to answer anyway. But if you've got any fishing related questions, fire them across to us. Because the weather is starting to get a little bit warmer. Fish are starting to feed.
I would say that's true, Rob, but you've just come back from like the Canary Islands or somewhere like that. So you probably feel like it is a bit warmer and a bit nicer. It's not exactly what we've had here in torrential rain and frost.
12 o'clock midday in 27, 28 degrees, bright sunshine, beautiful day. Shorts and t-shirt, stunning. I got off the plane 4.5 hours later, and it was dark, miserable, drizzle, freezing cold, and I just thought, what am I doing? What am I doing coming back to this? But I've been out today. I've just been on a bit of a walk with the dog. It seems like spring is in the air to me. I'm trying to be optimistic, and I think spring is in the air. Fish are definitely feeding. I'm looking at results, even while I've been away in the sun. I've been looking at results. Fish are feeding, mate. If you've got any questions out there, get them in. We'll do our best to answer them.
I think one of the reasons they do feed, Rob, at this time of year is because the daylight, you get more daylight. It makes a massive difference. You think now we're like 2 months into like the darkest day. So, you know, it's light when you get up in the morning at like 7 o'clock.
And it's still light when you go to bed.
It's like when I go to bed at 5:30. So, you know, it's you know, we're getting extra daylight and the fish know it and they respond to it without a doubt. And I think this is a time when you can start being a lot more proactive. I think we fish a lot of matches, or I've got a lot of history of matches at this time of year. Remember fishing a Winter League semi-final at Lindholm Lakes 12, 14 years ago now. And it was this time of year and 4 of our guys caught shallow, like bladdering maggots. Like for weeks it had been tapping in 5 pellets and then it was just like bladder maggots in to catch shallow. I
always feel, you know, when you're like venues like a Lindholm or your smaller commercials where there's a lot of mouths, not necessarily your Bostons and your Boddingtons where like a method feeder or a hybrid feeder will work all year round. But I always feel your smaller venues, this is the time of year where it sort of goes from bomb to feeder, doesn't it? Just this sort of early March, like March time, late February, March, early March is when it just starts going from like bomb to feeder fishing. And the fish start going around features into that slightly shallower water a little bit more, like 2 foot instead of trying to find 4 or 5 foot of water. Fish start to look around a little bit more.
Yeah, big time. And like even you can get late runs in the edge. We had a couple of guys on the Winter League final this year catch some fish in the edge dead late, you know. So Interesting times.
Right, talk to me before we go on, because you've had a bit of a Meadowlands campaign, including a big final. Talk to me about the Winter League final yesterday. Saturday.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the Winter League final is still one of my favourite matches of the year. It's the second biggest match of the year. It has 300 anglers in it, so it's a massive match across the drains, across Decoy Lakes at the moment, and I go and have a campaign on the drains at March, and Rob, the water, unbelievable. Like there's so much water around that area, and then they had some heavy rain on Thursday and a bit of Wednesday. I mean, yeah, I mean it was heavy rain. They had some heavy rain, but it was only a day's worth. And I'm saying under normal circumstances, the rivers and the ground could have eaten it up, but obviously everywhere you drive in the country at the moment is just like flooded fields. So all the water went straight in, and the old Neen through March was absolutely tonking through. Got a video on my phone and my peg, and it was like I've fished some rivers abroad that are 50 grand pace, and that was the pace it was. No, you wouldn't have been able to hold with any float. You'd have had to run.
Shallow as well, isn't it? The whole of the river's going. It's
Correct.
just like one channel going because it's so shallow. I've fished on rivers where they're only like 3 foot deep, which I know is shallower than where you're fishing, but they're 3 foot deep. But because they're so pacey, you almost feel like you're fishing a bomb by the time you've put enough weight on your flat float to sit in the right sit correctly.
Yeah, that's right.
The whole of the waterway's going.
It was all right, to be fair, because a lot of it was steadier. Friday it was worse than it was Saturday, but my personal day, I drew a really narrow peg. I could actually touch the boat with 6 meters of pole, which when the river's flooded and moving through, it's not ideal. Fortunately, I could basically fish against the boat or behind the boat, and there's so many fish in that drain at the moment. It's ridiculous. And I caught a fish every single bung in, caught 320 fish for 6 kilos. But unfortunately, they all caught 9 to 13 kilos in the rest of the section, where you could sort of fish 2-3 grams down the middle and caught nice.
Still good fishing, isn't it? Even in like rubbish conditions when everyone's catching double figures.
The fishing was amazing. Oh no, everybody's caught double figures. Like throughout the whole of March, it's like unbelievable. The only poor section was immediately to my right. I was the MPEG in my section, and the section to my right was one with 5 kilos. And there was some 4 and 3 kilos. And really, apart from that 15 pegs, it was really good. So, you know, it was a really good fishing match. But unfortunately, Barnsley did poor. We came 8th from the 30 teams competing, which, bearing in mind, obviously, we'd had 3 years of victory in a row. But we had some great results. We had Nicky Crooks won the match for us at the drains. Tom Barlow put in an astonishing performance and won his section. Matt Godfrey was second. So out of our 5 drains anglers, we had 2 firsts and a second. And then my peg was a complete no-hoper. Like I've just said, if I'm one to my right, I've won the section. But as it happens, I'm 12th. So I'm in with all the good pegs. And Dave Brooks was exactly the same. So, you know, at Decoy, again, we had a couple of like 15 out of 15 pegs. You know, they were the poorest peg in the section, not just a poor area, the sort of hand-picked poorest. And that can happen at times. So, you know, fishing, we were chatting off camera, fishing is a leveler. And sometimes it goes for you and sometimes it doesn't. We had 2 wins, 2 seconds and a third with 5 men, which is astonishing in 15 peg sections. And then we had a 10, a 12. So we had an 8, a 10, a 12, and a 13 and a 14. So you can just see how poor the other bit was, really. So
tell me, because obviously I messaged you after the match. I'm sure you told me your team was second. So
well,
tell me why you've ended up 8th.
like I said at the time, you actually messaged me about 10 minutes before that. Said, "How have you done?" I said, "Oh, no good. No, are you close? Nowhere near." Then they read us out in second, and I went straight up to them and said, "Look, we're not second. We've got 10 more points than you're saying, at least. I would think, certainly 7 or 8 more points. You need to have a look." And they said that they checked it and they were happy. So we sort of reluctantly took the medals and didn't make a big thing of it. And then, unfortunately, the results were incorrect because at Decoy, one of the sections is split over 2 lakes. And unfortunately, they got the 2 lakes down separately. They hadn't combined the 2 lakes. So one of our anglers who was 7th on his lake out of 8, he should have been in with another 7 who also all beat him. So that's where we were sort of 7 or 8 points difference, and that meant the results were wrong. So it was a shame because I felt really sorry for the team. Wakefield, Preston Black Horse won it. I've already said I'm delighted for them, really chuffed. Obviously, we are friends with
Webb. He's in
we are friends with Dan Webb. Let me tell you about Dan Webb's celebration, Rob. Right?
Did he fist bump it big time?
Oh, listen, fist bump's an understatement, right? As they were calling it out, I cast my eyes to their team, and he was sat there, and the passion he showed for the announcement, I was so proud of him. Like, obviously, everyone has ups and downs in fishing, and they've had a 3rd and a 2nd, and now they've won it. And nobody
in the Winter League final, haven't they? They've been
well,
really consistent.
Yeah, and nobody can take that away from them, and nobody can take that away from Dan. So I was really chuffed for them. But I really felt for Wakefield did a great job to come 2nd. But I really felt for the team that should have been 3rd because obviously they missed out of their chance of having their picture taken with the medals and coming up and getting their medals, which is a shame.
It's that VAR moment, isn't it? That just you lose that instant cheer when I used to love it in the Nationals when they're counting you down and you didn't quite know where you were going to be. And I guess the Winter League final was the same. They're counting you down. They're calling out 10th place, 9th place, 8th place, 7th place. Then there's the cheer. And you miss that when someone makes a mistake.
You really do. And with the Winter League final, Rob, most teams know their score. So I was sort of thinking that really the organisers could ask for team captains to text their predicted score. So,
no other sport does that. Just get it right. Just get it right.
I know, but I'm talking about trying to help not have errors. No other sport has the same point scoring system across what we're doing. I agree, Rob. You should get it right first time. But I'm just saying, if they'd have separately asked for us to text, I could have texted him saying 64 points. So when they had us down for 57, they'd have gone, hang on, that's an error.
Yeah, well, I fished the Winter League, and there was a guy who come back to the draw every time, telling us that he was top 3 in his section. And then come the results, he was always bottom 3. But he just wanted to come back and tell us what he was, but that he was top 3. He was always bottom 3 when we got the sheets back.
Yeah, I know.
So you can't rely on that. I feel that obviously they've got a system, and it sometimes works. They've got a system, but while there's a few mistakes happening, surely they've got to have someone there on these big occasions that does it manually, paper, pen, works it out. So he's sort of seconding what the system's doing, just while they're still making these mistakes, because it's happening too often.
It's a shame, mate. But like I've said before, I refuse to bash them for trying their best. I mean,
I'm not bashing them. Bashing them.
No, they had a system where, on Friday they were talking about cancelling because the river was flooded. They've got the lakes that are being used were stocked on the Thursday with mud beyond belief. They were in a really tricky situation through no fault of their own. So You know, the
Hang on,
point.
you say no fault of their own. You're
Hmm.
picking a venue. You liaise with the venue. Obviously, decoy. They knew the stocking policy, or if they didn't, they should know the stocking policy.
Yeah, but when you promised something like being ready, then from their point of view, I suppose they're trying to do something about it. I know they've been fighting it, but it's difficult. I feel sorry. I feel for them. The fact that a human error was chucked into the mix at the end was a I just feel sorry for the team that missed out on their chance of being up there. And I think that maybe when we walked up and said that's wrong, they should have said, let's have 5 minutes and just double check, why you think this is wrong. Because I'm not saying that I did say to them, look, we could be wrong, but 7 points wrong seems, I've
seen them, on like
20 years of fishing, I've never been 7 points out with the team.
On these big events, they've got the laptops out, and there's sometimes 2, 3, 4 of them trying to work out the results on nationals, all in their little room, and the pressure that they're under. I've seen it, and they don't want anyone in there because the pressure that they're under. They're trying to concentrate on the job that they've got.
You need calm,
You need calm, and I'm saying that if you had just someone just going through it, paper and pen, just to double check it, just to make sure if there's any glaring errors with the system, so they can just at the end, because listen, it takes an hour, doesn't it, to do the results?
Yeah.
Just at the end of it, they just double check against each other, and they go, "Yeah, we've got that's right, that is," and then they can do the results. Then everyone gets their cheer. Just like you say, just a shame for, because it's the cheer, isn't it? It's the feeling of yes,
moment. It's the big moment. It's the big moment. That's what we want. So I thought, is what it is. But it was a shame, and I think the teams that were affected, took it well, and I'm pleased to see there hasn't been that much bashing, which of the organisers, because I
think they're trying so hard to get it right.
They're trying so hard, so that's all I can say.
Yeah. Right, just a few hellos and a few comments from you guys. Mike Wibley, afternoon guys. Afternoon, Mark. Sorry, afternoon, Mark. Martin Farrow, good afternoon, chaps. Enjoy these get-togethers. Greg, afternoon guys. Neil, warmer. It's Baltic here this morning. He's saying it's quite sunny outside my window today. It's not very warm though, but it is sunny. It does to me, it feels like spring. Does it not feel like spring to you? No? You're sitting there in a t-shirt. It must be spring. Hi, lads.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Stephen Piner, member of the Edge members section. If you're not a member, loads of videos on there. And Stephen has been enjoying them because he'll put a comment on a lot of the videos. Great supporter of what we're doing. So good afternoon, Stephen. And he's asking where your lunch is. You on a diet?
Hey, listen, I was organised enough to have it in advance today.
Okay. Terry, hi, Robin Lee. Well done, Lee. He's talking about, I think, the midweek match that you fished last week. We'll get onto that in a minute. Yeah. Marty Farrow, what shotting patterns do you use for expander fishing?
Well, we can touch on that on the old review in a minute, Rob.
Okay, that'll be covered. Chris Weston, afternoon, chaps. No wonder there's been no live chat. Rob Sunday himself. Well done at Hallcroft, Rob and Lee. Nice to see you both. Pick up a big check. I've booked in at the Glebe for June group coaching day. Cannot wait. That's Chris Weston. Be great to see you there, Chris. Yeah, I have been Sunday myself, and Hallcroft seems a long time ago as well, doesn't it? It's only a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it? We fished our last match there. Craig Brunt, afternoon, guys. I finally qualified for Guru Feeder Cup. So get back against Rob again.
Craig, I saw your catch shot. Yeah, I was buzzing for you. Yeah, it was brilliant. Really good. Like, Craig's local to the venue. It's great to see him in the final.
Here we go. This is a blast from the past. I finally get to fish a match against Rob again. The last one was in 1996.
He showed me the picture.
Did he?
Yeah, he showed me the picture of your catch shot on the Neen, maybe.
On the Neen Junior National.
There you go. Yeah, he showed me last time out. He said, this is weird because last time I fished against Rob was this, and he showed me the picture.
Did he take a picture of what I'd caught?
Yeah. I mean, What I was trying to debate is your age, because I mean,
Because I look so young.
no, no, you didn't.
Didn't I?
You just look like you, but skinnier. I mean, I don't know if you'd eaten anything back there or not.
No, I was
Looked like
ever
you'd
so
been.
skinny as a lad. Ever
God,
so
you were skinny, weren't you?
I
Flipping
think
heck.
that'd be the picture with me in my Umbro stuff and all that.
It
With
is,
my
and you got your bream. Yeah. Second in
Bremer.
that. Yeah.
Mick Rouse took the picture. Good old Mick. Hope he's well. He's not fit working for the Angry Times anymore, but he's a great guy. Stephen Pino, when fishing a cage feeder, what dictates when you use a bottom-loaded cage feeder over a side-loaded one? That's a good question, Stephen. Over to you, Lee.
Oh, over to me, thanks. I would go. Listen, bottom-loaded feeders for me and Rob are pretty much the choice at any distance on any still water. Mainly because we believe they cast so accurately, and now they're designed. You can load them however you want and do all sorts of different things. Side loaded feeders are still excellent because ultimately you have the control over how you load them, but you're limited. One with distance, I would say anything over 20 meters.
Yeah, this sort of like
Yeah, I tried one at the weekend, Rob. I was clicked up at 21 meters and I chucked it out and I just thought that's nowhere near as good as my other feeder. But they're brilliant on rivers where you're trying to hold, when you want to hold bottom and grip on bottom, they're brilliant. Rob and I use them a lot for short fishing because we believe we can control the load by nipping it exactly how we want
That's
it.
the downside of a bullet style, isn't it? That you can't nip it finger and thumb.
No, you can nip
Quite
it.
how
It's
you
not
want
as
to get it.
quick, is it? It's not as quick and efficient as when you're doing it. But when you try to use a side loader feeder cast further than 20 meters, you can't do a gentle nip because it just comes out the bottom.
Yeah.
So you are limited. So I would say, look, on a still water, anything sub 20 meters, under 20 meters, you can look at a side loader feeder. If you're casting any further, everything for me is bottom loaded.
I mean, you wouldn't go far wrong. You wouldn't go far wrong. We're talking about nipping it in a side loaded. But you do that with a window feeder, can't you? So you wouldn't go far wrong with a range of rocket star feeders, bottom loaded feeders, and some window feeders.
Yeah, I mean, I just use those hex mesh rockets, Rob, and window feeders are 99.9% of my fishing. It's just they do everything that I need it to do.
Okay. Right. Martin's looking forward to the group day at Lindome. We might have a couple of spaces left on all of them. I think we're pretty full on Boston and the Trent. You guys are loving the Trent. So
I had some people inquiring at the weekend, Rob, about the glebe and about wanting to book on, and I was like, yeah, absolutely, get yourselves booked on. The days are pretty full, so they will sell out. So if you're thinking about going on the group days, definitely get booked on, because I was sort of looking at the numbers. Me and you were looking the other day going, oh, these are nearly sold out, because we don't like to put too many on the days because we want to make sure you guys get the best experience. And
anyone that fancies a group day, either send us a message, just send us a message on Facebook, or the website is where you'll ultimately book on, which is www.anglingedge.co.uk, and there'll be a group days section in the menu, and you drop it down, book on a group day. It'd be great to see you there. Before we get to Medlands, let's just Christopher Toon, he's loving his canal fishing. He's on the Grantham Canal in the week, 5 days a week on the Grantham Canal. That's incredible, isn't it?
Chris.
However, looking at the underwater vid on the Chesterfield Canal that we shot and we released over Christmas, it looked a good water. Whereabouts did you fish? We were right in the middle of Retford, Chris. So I don't know that particularly that well. Do you know it?
No, mate. I was just
a
recce. I mean,
told to go to a particular area, and to be fair, it was that clear that you could see.
Don't even think we were told to go there, Rob. I just literally walked along the canal.
And you find the fish.
The issue is parking and access. If you go to Retford and look on the map, the Chesterfield Canal runs through it. I would go up and give yourself an hour for a bit of a recce. I'm not sure I'll be fishing it this time of year, but
No, I think it might be
yeah.
a struggle this time of year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
I'll go through these, then you can talk about Medlands because I think there's so
Cool.
many comments. Lee. Screet 360 Fishes. Screet! He's back. Afternoon, lads. Afternoon. Andrew Saunders. Really enjoyed the bloodworm video.
Yes, yes, Andrew. I'm glad you did. Love the bloodworm video.
Yes.
I reckon. Comment below if you've watched the bloodworm video, because I thought that was a really interesting topic and detail on something that a lot of you guys won't know about, and hopefully taught you something about fishing. Rob
The detail was amazing. The detail was amazing.
Rob just couldn't stop laughing at me catching tiny perch, but I thought the detail was amazing.
I can see that the detail and how you fed the bait, and how obviously you've taken that, and I'm guessing that all the top guys fishing that style of fishing feed in a similar way, and that how you feed bloodworm joker for me is like the main part of it. So for you to spend so long talking about that was the part that was interesting to me. The fishing part, when it was freezing cold and my fingers were dropping off, maybe not so interesting. Carl Elland, obviously fished your Winter League, I'm guessing. Your Winter League final. He's mentioned about the Angling Trust, and I think further down he's mentioned, it'd be great, obviously, if they double check and just get the results right when they're doing it. Andrew Saunders, can you lads run the Angling Trust, please? Andrew, they're trying the hardest. They're doing a fantastic job. There's a few little teething errors, I think, but once they get it sorted, it'll be full steam ahead. Ahead of the group day at Boston, I've got a couple of matches which are likely to be method feeder dominated. What hook lengths would you recommend to start with at this time of year? Cameron McKenzie.
Go on, Cameron. You're definitely looking at, like, I'd tie myself up some 3-inch, and if I was carping, it'd be 018. I'll still use a big hook. I'd have a 10 kKh. And if I was skimmering, I'd probably tie up some 016. I still don't think you want to go mega light when you're 3-inch in hook lengths. To like some, I don't know, 16 maybe, because I'd be fishing like single or double maggot, that sort of thing. That dominates it for me, Cameron. Those sort of things. 3-inch is the big one for us, Rob, isn't it? We've got Cameron. You're a member of the site. We did a F1 video at Decoy, right? That was brilliant for those looking at hook lengths like that. And Rob, we did with Rob a bigger carp one.
Yeah,
Heart Hill. If you those are the two that'll show you the two major hook lengths, mate. They're the ones for you.
Just while we're on the subject of kit, Yuri Lamar's Andy May used a twizzle loop to connect his line to his elastic in a recent Preston video. Do you think the twizzle loop makes a difference over a normal one? Is it used to straighten the loop? Yes, it is used to straighten the loop. I think it makes a difference. For me personally, if I was fishing shallow, slapping my rig constantly, I think it could make a difference on that. It might just kick your line away from your elastic a little bit better. Other than that, I'm not so sure, but I think it might just stiffen it up a little bit.
I appreciate if I was twizzling a rig over all the time, that'd be good. I can't say I do it on any of my other rigs.
No, I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. Nigel Phillips, same thing happened when Stroud lost out and doing 2 national a couple of years ago.
It did, Nigel, yeah.
No need for a manual input. It can all be done electronically. Yeah, he's obviously talking about the Angling Trust making a little boo-boo at the weekend with some results. Rolly, brand new member, literally just joined.
Go on, Rolly.
Good old. Right. Tony Rawlins, I had my first day out since my cancer op. Thanks for videos during my time laid up. Hope you're feeling loads better, Tony. Hope you caught a load of fish as well. It was in Angling Times. Craig Brunt, he's still got the cutout. He was in Workshop A team that won the team event. Yeah, they did win the team.
Yeah, Workshop. Yeah, Workshop. Yeah. They
won the team. They're 2 teams. They're like A team and the B team were like.
Oh, they were the best. Yeah, Workshop were the best. Yeah.
Yeah, green and blue coats, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, I think Mark Foy has got that back up and running, so they could be a force again because Foy's got loads of enthusiasm. I mean, he's enthusiastic about Langold, so he does a great job.
Yeah, I know. He's doing quite a bit, isn't he?
He does a great job this Foy, yeah.
Here we go. Right, hang on. How far down have we got to go before we run out of comments? Right, still got some more comments. I don't want to listen too much about you winning at Medlands. Nigel Phillips, other sports use computers. Should angling be relegated to paper and pen? Why can't angling move with the times? Young people don't want to step back into early time. Move forward with the time. Nigel, you're totally correct. The system for sorting out results.
But they've got a digital system. You know, they had a great one, Nigel, as you and I both know. But their new digital system, which is also very good, it split the section and they hadn't managed to put it back together, and it was just an oversight on their part. So it's a shame because it was all there ready to be done, and it was relatively quick as well.
So my point about the paper and pen knowledge is just while there's a few little mistakes, just get someone to double check it with paper and pen until we know that the system that we can get the system working 100% each time. Kevin Carr started using much more heavy backstops, thinking it helps hit more bites. What do you think?
I love a back shot. I do. Yeah, love one. If the water's flowing or it's windy, I'll use 2 number 8s. I'm not saying that I think it helps me hit more bites. I think it gives me a better presentation personally. It keeps that little bit of line underneath next to the pole float. It sinks that piece of line, which is really important. At the weekend, in the Medlands matches that we'll talk about in a minute, I use 2 number 8. So
I postpone the Medlands matches.
Very important.
Neil Potter, he says the bloodworm video was excellent. He loved a spot of bloodworming back in the day. Stephen Piner watched the bloodworm video and loved it, lads. It brought back a lot of memories for him. Chris Toon was the underwater pellet and corn and the blood water video. Oh, it was the underwater pellet and corn, and the bloodworm video was the best you have done.
Go on, Chris. Well done. I know
Where can you get bloodworm from? Thanks for the info on the Chesterfield Canal. I'm going for a recce. So, bloodworm. Taffy at Taffy's Tackle. Google it. He will can provide a bit of bloodworm. I'm not too sure it's every week, and I'm not too sure how.
Every week through winter.
Phone call. Yeah. Sam Wildsmith at Mill Tackle. He will sometimes have some bloodworm and joker. Always worth giving him a call.
I think Chris is not a million miles for Chris, probably that.
No, but it's not, is it? Chris will know because obviously he used to do the maggot round, didn't he? So he could go round. He knows the shops. Yeah. Who else would have some bloodworm and joker, Lee?
I don't know. There's a couple of other guys who've done a bit. A couple of the Polish guys get it imported, I think, but I don't really know. I mean, I get bait from Taffy or Sam. That's it.
So yeah, they usually have some. So give them a call, Taffy's Tackle or Mill Tackle, just to see if they've got some. They might be able to put you in the right direction. Screet 360. All these people there trying to postpone your Medlands tour by asking questions. Screet 360 Fishing. Can you recommend a barbed hook for feeder fishing? This is for when I attack the Chichester lakes in June. Their rules state barbed or micro barbed hooks only. Strangely, guess it's a carper lake. A barbed hook, KKH barbed, if you're going method feeder fishing. And
yeah, absolutely.
If I'm fishing for carp, I would probably tie them knotless knot with 018 line, and I'd just tie them knotless knot style, cut the tag off. That'd be my hook. I think it's a great hook, nice and strong knot as well, knotless knot.
For carping, 100%, yeah.
Cameron McKenzie, thanks for the hook length tips. I'll rewatch the video. The bloodworm joker video was very informative, and having never tried it, found it really exciting into what it's all about. You've got a lot of love for the bloodworm video.
I knew we'd get some love for the bloodworm video.
Chesterfield Canal at Clapworthy. You can park near the canal. Lincoln Juniors had a day there 2 weeks ago. Good access to the canal. There you go, Chris Toon. Clayworth. Go and have a look there. Can we have a video on your approach to Medland Silvers in the future? Andrew Saunders says.
Go on, Andrew. You can't wait to hear about it, can you?
Right, go on then. We won't have a video. We'll have you talking about it now. Medlands.
10 minutes, haven't you?
On the flyer TV, Medlands 2-dayer. It was it Saturday and Sunday last week or Sunday and Monday?
Monday, Tuesday. That's why we didn't have the live this last week. Not only were you sunning yourself, but I was fishing in that event, so we couldn't do the live.
Big money boats. Who's who of anglers fishing it? A lot of people are using it for practice for this weekend's big money final. And you drew your socks off, managed to win it.
That's it, pretty much.
That's
Bang
it.
on. You've got
That's
it.
it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thanks for
Till next
watching,
week.
guys. That is fantastic. We'll see you next week.
No, we had it's a great match. I was on Warren Lake, which is a shallower lake than the main big lake. And it's just really back to the start of this live, Rob, and we're talking about the fish waking up. So I fished there in November, in that 2-dayer in November, and I fished ground bait and maggots both days and won my section both days on that lake with like 25 and 15 pound. I think it won the lake. That's how poor it fished. Again, just sparring, sparingly feeding ground bait and maggots. Now, roll forward to February, and it's not that much different in temperature, but the nights are a lot lighter. Fish are waking up, and they've just tuned into pellets. I had a brilliant day's pellet fishing on the first day. It was flat calm, which is one of my favourite conditions for pellets. When you can just dot your float down to a little pimple. And it was brilliant fishing, tapping in micros, working out how many micros they wanted. Somebody asked about shotting wise, dead easy. I literally had a 414s with like an inch apart or inch and a half apart. Number nines, like 6 number nines, I think, like an inch and a half apart. It's only 4 foot deep. You kind of want all your weight at the bottom, but you don't want it on top of your hook length. You need it almost to be a little bit tighter. Just mixed it up between 4 and 6 mil pellets on the hook. I put a piece of corn on quite a bit. Rob trying to catch a better stamp. Felt like there was a lot of fish there.
Any carp issues?
Pardon?
Any carp muscling in?
Not so much first day. I had a few. I had a brilliant day, 54 pound.
What peg were you on?
7, which didn't get a lot of love, I've got to be honest. But I felt there was a lot of fish there. I felt it was pegged well. It's in a bit of a bay down the left-hand side, set back a bit. But yeah, there was a lot of fish. Everybody caught a lot of fish, and I felt it like our side of the lake and the top end of the lake that were out of the wind. They were the best two sides. So there was sort of 5 or 6 of us really who were in the better areas. Great fishing, and then the next day I drew next to where I was, so I drew peg 5, which is a much better.
Andrew wants to know hard pellets or expanders. I'm guessing expanders.
Expanders, mate. Yeah, fed softened micros, fished expanders on the hook.
So just roll back to November when you fished the 2-dayer in November. What you fished ground bait and maggot?
Yeah,
you did. I think you were second, weren't you?
I was second in the festival. Yeah,
in the festival. Yeah. What pegs did you draw on that day? Those days?
5 both times.
You drew peg 5 both times.
Peg 5 both times. This time I drew 7.
So fast forward.
I drew 7 next to where I was effectively.
Section win.
Then I drew 5.
Right, so you drew 5 again.
I drew 5 again. Now 5's a much better peg than 7 in my opinion. But again, the standard's a joke. The anglers are a joke. I've been traveling with Matt Godfrey for 3 days at this point, and he drew 7. Right. So like we were like, giving him the info from the day before, and he's amazing. But I had a better peg. 5's a much better peg. So that was like my advantage really. But on the other side of the lake, the wind had swung round, Rob, and this is the key to everything about Meadowlands these last few days. The wind had swung round, and now it was blowing strongly right to left, and I'm on a bit of a point, which meant I was so exposed to the wind. I fished like 9 meters, whereas the day before I'd fished 14 and a half. And young Tyler Bird was opposite me on peg 18, and he's just caught with the wind off his back, like really, like brilliantly from the start of the match, and caught 55 pound. Nobody was beating him. Out of the wind. He was the only peg on the whole entire lake out of the wind. And I had 41 pound. I had loads of carp. I had like 15 carp that day. Like the more I fed, the worse it got for carp, because it was a nice warm westerly wind. They were like loving it. But the story really is on the big lake. There's a bank called the Pump Bank, and the wind was smack into it. 2 or 3, I think 3 section winners all drew in the same section there. And basically they couldn't fish. They had like there was a £29. Andy Bennett won that section with £29, but like the rest of them had like £15, £16. It was really poor. Fast forward to this weekend, and it was the on the flyer Silver Classic. Big final, £10,000 to the winner. Great payout for the top 5. Brilliant section payout. An absolutely incredible standard of match. But the wind had swung 180 degrees, and it was a hard frost, and it was an easterly wind. Now, experience tells me the fish are always out of the wind. And when we drove off on the Tuesday, so I drove off being the winner of the festival. I was super pleased with that as a result. It's a great standard to win over 2 days on points. I always think is great. I was actually second in the match.
You ended up with 3 points because Tyler Bird beat you in the section, didn't
he? Beat me. Yeah, that's exactly right. So I had 3 points.
I remember a coaching day that we had with Dynamite Baits 4 years ago. And we picked 6 anglers, and Tyler Bird was one of them to come on this coaching day. And I sat behind Tyler for the day, and obviously young, obviously really young.
He's 18 now. So
yeah. So it'd be 14, 13, 14. You could tell he was thinking about his fishing all the time. And we had the youngest age group. We had myself, Nick Speed, and Grant, and we had different age groups, and I took the younger kids, and we actually won. We beat the older kids. Tyler Bird was one of the lads, and he did ever so well. Like, you could tell he was going to be good if he carried on fishing.
I mean, like I said, I know he drew a decent peg, but he's 18 years old, Rob, and he won the match in that field. And you know, a lot of the field's very good, and they'd have had a great chance of winning the match off that peg. But I'm putting him in that category of very good anglers to be able to win the match. So at 18, I think that's a brilliant achievement, a really good achievement. You know, but I was second in the match both days, so I had a superior weight, and that's what got me over the line. Fast forward to this week, and the Pump Bank's got the wind smack off its back. They've given an extra little bit of room on the Pump Bank
because he didn't fish so well the week before.
They didn't, but as we drove off, we saw the forecast and said I fancy the Pump Bank. It won it last year as well. It's exactly what happened. You could see the anglers on that bank literally getting bites from the whistle. A lot of people were starting on the feeder or started on, and just nothing. People weren't catching anything apart from that bank and the top end of Warren, where they were catching some fish as well. There was obviously a lot of fish in those areas, and it's been a bit of a battle like that. So Andy Mays ended up winning with £45. Really chuffed for Andy. He's a great angler from that Pump Bank. And Adam Wakeland's won from he does amazingly there. He was actually second on that 2-dayer before. So he was on the deeps, which is a good area, and he knows, and he's a very good angler. So he was unlucky really. He had £43, so he was only a fish or 2 away from doing it. I was on the shallow bank, on the far bank, where a freezing cold easterly was blowing straight across us, slightly into us, Rob. I sat there with, I think at one point I was thinking to myself, oh my God, I'm going to tip back at Meadowlands because nobody was getting a bite. And the end pegs were first and second in our section, and all of us in the middle. The 2 guys to my left, Frankie, a brilliant angler, they caught like 12 and 13 pounds. For Meadowlands, that's such a low weight. Trig on my right had 26. He was probably the best of the rest in our bit. I had 21. Just trying to fish to win, really. Tried to catch some fish on a feeder. And then I caught a few big uns late on the pole, short on casters. But, Meadowlands, when I'm talking about £21 being a slow day.
Yeah, Meadowlands is fantastic.
It's ridiculous. I cannot think of a better venue for that final, and what Gary Rogers has created there with that 2-dayer and the final all in a week, getting sponsored by the bookies. You know, I just thought it was brilliant, mate. I really did. I thought it was I've always wanted something for commercial silverfish in winter that's done it justice. The Angling Trust have got an event, which you know, it's okay. But Gary's is brilliant. The effort he goes to, the media, the
No, I watched the weigh-in
Oh,
live yesterday. I watched the weigh-in.
brilliant,
I thought,
mate.
this is brilliant.
I'm so, you know, I'm so pleased because, like, you know, it's expensive to enter and it's not cheap. And obviously, Gary, I'm hoping Gary makes a bit of money for all his time and efforts, but he deserves it because he's created an environment where I'm fishing against you know, it is the elite silverfish competition in the winter. There's no question.
I think he's done a carp one, Lee.
Yeah, he has. He has,
Yeah.
and he's done a carp one, and he's done a carp one to run over winter at like Tunnel Barn. It's not for me. It's not for me, and I hope his efforts don't split because he's that good at what he does. That, you know, I love that Medlands. He's like his standout. You know, the 2-dayer, and then obviously the big money match on the Sunday. The standard's a joke. So, you know, it's great. It feels like a little mini pro tour. It's great. I love it.
I think that's what he's trying to create. And I think Gary's the sort of guy that's going to get outside companies and sponsors, and like he's done with the bookies, getting involved.
Yeah.
He's the sort of guy that is going to get those people involved, and that's what's going to push, if you want to call it, that professional style circuit of top anglers, whether they're fully professional or not. But that's what's going to push that on. I think what he's done with this particular event is absolutely fantastic.
I agree. Yeah, absolutely agree.
Just a couple more questions before we go. Rowley, who's our new member, what are the signs there's too much bait in the peg or not enough? I always get 3 or 4 fish in as many casts, and after I experience long pauses, regardless of heavy feeding or just cast regular. For me, Rowley, especially this time of year, have a couple of swims because it's inevitable that you're going to get 3 or 4 fish. Maybe it might be just 1 fish sometimes, and then you've got to move. The water's still clear. The fish aren't really in like super aggressive feeding mode. You've got to maybe catch 1, catch 2, get a feel for your swim, and then move swims. And even if you catch nothing on that move, you've given your main swim a nice rest for you to drop on again, catch another fish from that, get another little run from that swim. And you're sort of waiting then until maybe the fish do start feeding aggressively, last hour and a half, last 90 minutes, where you might be able to catch one after another from that same spot. Sometimes, no matter what you do, you can't keep catching fish after fish after fish without millions of them there. So have a couple of swims, rotate your swims. Would you agree with that?
Spot on, that is. Yeah, I was going to say exactly the same. You need to rotate your swims a little bit more. Yeah.
Andy, would love to see you lads fishing the Angel of North fisheries. It's totally crammed with fish, and to be honest, in my opinion, completely impossible to present a bait in summer. Sounds amazing. If you can't, you can't get your bait in the water.
You can't get his bait in the water. That's probably not for me. I've got to be honest.
Wayne, hi lads, afternoon. Steve, I would love you both to talk about all the awards you have got behind you. Well, Lee's got some big,
None.
Lee's got some big awards behind him. I've got a few checks on the wall, but yeah, we could talk about that one day. I think we've done some videos about that before, haven't we?
Yeah. Well, listen, it's one for when I'm saying when we're older, we'll have a go at that.
Yeah, maybe we'll write a book about that sort of thing. Hopefully, we'll win a few more in the next few years.
We'll keep trying. Keep trying.
Thank you very much, guys. We will see you again next week.